So I have somehow spent all day watching people eat food on the internet. No. I spent all day cleaning out my cupboard once again. So there's virtually just a couple of little bags there. That is ornaments in there. So it's got two big hippos that I never sold. That's okay. Everything that I have would go really well in a house. I just don't have one. So if I had a house, I'd be like decorating it with all my stuff. And I'd have considerable use of it, but because I don't own my own house yet, and I don't see how I'm going to be able to do that in the future, but because I don't have my own house or anything, it's like I can't decorate. So I've got all these cute little ornaments and I can't put them anywhere. So, like I said, I have virtually those couple of things plus this. These are my expensive things. So this is really expensive camera. It retails at like $8,000, but I bought it on sale. So that's how I managed to get myself a really expensive camera. It doesn't work that great. I've had better cameras, but I also might not be using it right. But I remember cameras in the 1990s, they seemed to be a little bit more simple to use. And for some reason, I think I used a real camera, not a digital SLR camera. So that might be the difference, because it just seemed a lot more simple. And I'm like using this and I'm like, oh, it's harder. You can't, it's harder to focus and use it manually. And then digitally, it doesn't. I used to have this huge lens that zoomed on everything. It doesn't zoom with these lenses that it has. And you're like going, I'm so frustrated. This is a really expensive camera, but I can't use it. This is a thumb drum. It's not that expensive. I just have it as on my expensive table. This is something that I was supposed to send in a package, but whoever bought it changed their mind, so I have a package there. I should sell it for 5 cents and give someone a freebie, because I've got it all packaged up. I just don't have a buyer on it anymore, and I'm like, I could do that, or I could wait for someone to actually buy the actual product and just have it wrapped up like that. So virtually my cupboard's really empty now, so it's really cool. What's on top, I'm going to buy that script, not tomorrow, maybe the day after, whenever I'm going to the chemist next, so that I don't have this spare script wandering around. There's so much space. These are empty boxes, so I'll probably pack stuff in that little one. And those two at the back are I could put the mirror back in its box, and I could put and stuff, but I don't know if I'll end up doing that like that. And there's just spare bags, so but it's actually pretty good. A lot of space now. So all these cupboards are being done up soon, like this week sometime. They're going to be cleaned and primed and painted, and then it'll be good for the new people who may or may not buy this house. They're having problems because it has some internal issues, but it's a good. I mean, everyone says it's a good house, but I wouldn't just laugh. I'd be like, it'd be really weird if someone turned around and said, you can't sell this property because there's too much wrong with it. I would have a little bit of a chuckle myself, but that's sort of what's coming up, some sort of invasive inspection to see the internal walls are okay or something, because it's a really old house, and you just have to check those things, so. But anyway, so it might not be worth but there are other people out there who might want to buy this. I would have wanted to buy it myself because it's the best location. It's it doesn't flood. It's right near a train stop, right near the stores, so you can walk everywhere and stuff. I was like, oh, this is the best place ever. I can't believe everyone wants to sell it, because I've lived in places and it's like so much trouble with floods and cyclones and things, that I'm like, here is this none of that trouble. And you're like going, oh, it's so nice to have like a house that doesn't have that kind of trouble. All it really needs for me is a bit more soundproofing, because you can hear too much noise. There's heaps of noise outside and you can hear too much. But the other person I live with, they don't like to hear no noise, so they like to keep things more raw. And it's like, oh geez. So it sort of, it doesn't keep me awake or anything. It just sort of gets to me that I would rather have a lot less noise coming into the house. But that's the only issue that I would fix if this were my house. Everything else is like pretty okay. It has most of these walls where the cement is, it needs to be reputtied or something, because you find little holes. There are holes all over the place. But generally it's fine. I mean, we've been living here for 3 years, no problems, and it's not even really been fixed up that much. All the new paint is new and stuff, and we were living here for 3 years, and it was like, wasn't newly painted at all, and didn't look half as good as it does now. But anyway, I mean, 3 years could have easily turned into 10 years for me. But the other person's like, no, I want to live in other areas. I don't like the neighborhood. I don't really like the location. I don't like the traffic. I don't like. They just don't want to stay, and they're like, oh, I want to go. I want to go where it's really quiet and there's no people. I want to retire. So, I still have no idea if I'm going with them or not. I'm trying my best to try and find a cheap apartment, but there's very few pickings that are under $300 a week. And I've looked like all over the state. The cheapest I found is like $240 right now. And I'm like going, oh, it's not cheap enough. And in the $240 places, I've lived in them before. They've got like this little, they got people trying to break in to disturb you all the time, and it's like annoying. So once again, I don't want to go for the cheapest price. I want to go for the price where you're just going to move in and it be quiet. But I'm really struggling to find under $300 a week. And I'm like, $300? What do you think I'm made of? But it should be okay. I mean, if I get a job tomorrow, I'll be earning... How much would I be earning? 30, 60, like 12, 1, 2, 3, 8 hours a day. 30, 60, 90, 100, 90, 120, 150, 170, $230 a day, 6 or 7 days a week. But that's only if I get it. I mean, I might not get it. I'm like, I'm not earning anything right now. So, I might have to do my 2-week stint where I go and check out the country and be like, oh, this is like so lame. And it's like, oh, I better get my butt back to civilization. Sometimes I do that. I just move out there and I'm like, oh, it's so lame. I don't really want to live here. And yeah, it's going to stink, and you have to live in I think they said we have to rough it. I think we have to like sleep in a car for a couple of weeks while there's some renovations done. And then it's like, it'd probably be a month before you actually live in the house or something. And it's like, we'll be eating takeaway food, and I don't even know if I'm going to have access to a computer. So if I get the job tomorrow, though, I'm just going to go into any house Doesn't matter if it's $300 a week, and just sitting there. I think that's the smartest thing, because they might not have everything good for you to set up a computer and stuff and work right away. So it's like, it's probably good that I spend a few months, at least 6 months away. And then I'm spending 6 months at probably $20,000 in 6 months, but it's good. Probably good that way, I guess. And if I got a job, it probably won't be any real big problem. But yeah. But in 6 months, if I get a job and keep it in 6 months, I can be eligible to buy a house once again. So, I have no idea where I'd want to buy. I just think, oh, where do I want to live? Do I really want to live up here? Ideally, I know what I would want to buy. I want to buy a nice big townhouse somewhere, but I don't know. I don't actually know. I think I saw the loft. No, not the loft. This place where I was interested in buying. What do you call them? Like a, what are they called? I forget, but anyway, some sort of townhouse-ish kind of small kind of thing. But they look, yeah, I think I saw like the outskirts of it. I'm like, oh my gosh, it looks so weird. Everything's crammed side by side. Like I hate it. Yeah. No, I don't know where I'd want to live. I mean, up here, the storms are riding all over the place. And it's very hard to be settled because it's so expensive. I do have a place on the Gold Coast that's like turned invisible, and it's just sitting there, and it has like $550,000 worth of renovations. I have no idea if I can get my hands on that or anything, but if I won the lottery or something, I might like get my hands back on it and say, hey, I can afford the renovations. Can you turn it invisible for me? And then sell it for what it's worth, and then move wherever. I don't know where I want to move. I could move a townhouse somewhere. But, yeah, or I could test the waters and see if I can actually keep blinds over the windows and see what damage it does in a year. But last time I lived in it, I was there for 3 months, and it was knocked down like 3 or 4 times by cyclones, and it's like annoying. So in the first month it was knocked down twice, and then I think it was knocked down once or twice after. So it was so annoying, because it was like I did want to appreciate it and fall in love with it, but it's very difficult. It wasn't stable enough, and it was really, really expensive. Insurance was hitting the roof. I really hated the pool. The pool was the worst. It had instead of a 250-meter pool, it had like a huge, probably 250 meters. 250 meters is like the breadth of this room. So it was like probably no, it was like a water course. So it was like a whole length of a huge building and plus around. So it was like probably like 15 meters or something, maybe 20. And it was really big. And at the top, it had like a spa. And then it fanned out into this water course. And then it had a slippery dip on the way. And then it fanned out to the end of the course. So it was really annoying. And I didn't even order it. And no one would like make the builder change to something more practical. And it was an indoor pool that was so huge, and it was like so annoying to have that thing on the indoor. I did build a balcony pool on the house at one stage, and it was so cool. And it's like exactly the kind of size that I wanted a pool to be. But then a cyclone came along and tore off the balcony from the side of the house, so I had to have that fixed up. And I think I did end up building a rock pool on the outside of the house as well, because I really hated the indoor pool and I was sulking about it. Um, I don't ever, I don't, I think I did. I'm not sure if I did or not, but I seem to have remembered them some sort of outdoor accolade, like something pretty around a pool and something. And it had like fake rocks and everything, and a little. Oh, did it have a waterfall? I think it did have a little tiny waterfall, coming from the rocks, and I was like, that was better, a lot better than the stupid indoor pool that was a big course. But it definitely had a lighthouse at one stage because cyclones. Someone had it built in my yard because as some sort of gift or something. It was their brainy idea, and the cyclone came along and tore it up. And it was like, so it was a really stupid house. I think I wanted to grow vines all over the house just to protect it a little bit more from the cyclones or something. But I also painted all of the house with windproofing after it had obtained a hole in it. But it didn't do anything to stop cyclones from destroying the house a little bit more. But virtually, yeah, it was a really damaged house by the end. I like I said, I would have loved to have fallen in love with it, but I just couldn't. I mean, I'm not a movie star, and can't get movie star jobs, and I'm just not rich enough for it. It needs someone with their own business that's making millions of dollars a year, if not a week, to put up with a building like that. Because only then you'll find it's like, oh, just a little chip off the block here and there. But for someone who just works a normal $30 an hour, maybe $25 an hour or something, job, you know, is it's way too expensive, you know. So I was only just affording it on a 38-hour a week job work, and then I lost my job, and it's like then I couldn't afford it at all, and everyone jumped all over me and stuff, and I was like, oh, you can't afford anything. It's like literally I'd spent every scraping of money that I had coming from work to pay for everything. It's like I had like very little to spend even on food, so I was living like on rice and bread and cheese or something. And it was like it was a very terrible time. But I still kind of want it, but I don't want it because I know it's just a stupid problem house, and it's like, it's just yeah, they do magic on it. They make it turn invisible, and then when the right person's there, they can make it turn non-invisible again right in front of you, and you're like going, it's really weird that there are magicians up there, but I think it's still sitting there invisible. It's like I would feel sorry, but I don't think I can access the area. It's a pretty close residential area. It's got this big, dumb old gate that lasts a lot longer than many bricks of my house. And I think last time I tried to see what it looked like, usually just a patch of grass, where, the border of my residence was, it just wasn't able to access because it's sort of a bit closed. People could say, get off the property, you're not welcome here, sort of thing. So, but I've had other houses. I mean, I had a flat in Chermside that I couldn't live in because there was someone with a gun saying, "Get out of the neighborhood, we don't want you here." I had a house in Rosewood, which was way too expensive. It ate my bank account, just gobbled it up, and I went through hell until I sold that house. I bought 3 places in Murrayfield. One was an ex-rental that I turned into a residential, and then I had to sell it because the rates went up. Another was someone else's home and they came to my door after they had sold it to me saying they wanted it back, and then they were sulking. So I made them pay like $10,000 more than the house I had bought it for. I think that they might have even paid $20,000 more for it. And it's like, oh, they were like, "Yay, I got my house back." And then I also bought this new townhouse, and I was pretty happy with it. It was like right near, close to the stores, and really good, cool. And then I think even a cyclone came along and started damaging it, and so I ended up selling it because I couldn't afford the rising house insurance. So I ended up selling that house. So it wasn't damaged so much, so I could sell it. And I ended up selling it, and someone else they probably live in it still. So yeah, I've had 3 houses there. Where else did I buy a house? I bought one house in Malvern East in Victoria, which I couldn't live in because everyone was like narky. All the neighbors were narky, and took it to court, and it was like, "Oh, we don't want this person living here." And I was like, "I should be able to live here. It's my house, blah, blah, blah." And then in court said, "Oh, you'll have to leave the house." And I'm like, "Oh, what a stiff. What a stupid fake sale." It's actually a beautiful house. I didn't even care about the water quality or anything. It was like just perfect. It was right next to the beach. You could see the beach outside the window, and it had new carpets and everything. They were all modern. It even had a dishwasher and everything. I was like, "Oh, this is so cool. It's like the best." It was up for sale like this in the past year, and I didn't bother with it because I'm not living in Victoria right now. But it was like made me remember that I'd bought that house in the past, and it was like it's just the best location and everything. I was like, you have to get out, It's like, how rude is that? What else did I buy? I need a map because I bought some places in the country. I bought a house on Bateman's Bay that I had to let go because of storms, cyclones, which might have been tornadoes in that area, and floods. Floods really bad though. There was another little country town somewhere in that lower end of New South Wales. It's like virtually you just cross a little river from Victoria. Oh, and also on the way out of Victoria, there was this little place, and I bought this little house in this little area, which is pretty barren. And then I had to sell it because of some issues. I think I had issues with neighbors. And then I also bought another little place in this other little country town down in the lower end of New South, not in Sydney, but towards Victoria. And it's like this little cul-de-sac. Oh, it's so small. Like hardly anyone lives there. It's probably got a residential population of like 3 or 5,000 people or something. No, it was probably less than that. It's so small. Anyway, all I cared is that it had its local store and local post office, and had a really cheap house, and I bought it, and I was like really happy, but then I was kicked out because people in small places, they get gang against you and they kick you out with the little political leaders, sort of, permission. So that was that one. I owned a place out near, I I think I owned a place at Inverell. It was a nice little cottage, and I was really annoying people to have bought it. And it had a huge garden, and it was a nice little cottage. It flooded a bit, and then I ended up, oh, what happened? I think I was kicked off by the locals because they didn't want me living there. I bought this place, also this really cheap, I thought it was like the cheapest place I've ever met in I think I bought it for like 50 grand or something, or maybe it was like 25. This cheapest place, it was sort of like a little hotel room sort of thing. It was like this apartment in somewhere from New South Wales towards Queensland. So somewhere, I don't remember. It's like where the sheep statue is and stuff. Warwick. I bought the cheapest place like ever there. And I was like, and then I moved in and other people wanted it because I was living there so easily. And I felt really, I was told I had to leave. I either bought or rented a place near the Dome Deli in Warwick. I think that place is Warwick. I'm not sure where the other place was. I think it's Warwick, maybe? Some place called the Dome Deli anyways. I was living like a few blocks away on this like residential area and for a little while. But I don't know if it was bought or a rental. I have a feeling it might have been a rental there. But where else have I bought? I know I've rented a few different places. I bought up towards Cairns from Queensland. There's this little place, I forget what the name of it is. And it just, when it floods, all these crocodiles come from a lake. Like it has like the biggest amount of crocodiles I've ever seen. Like they literally fill a field. There's so many. And when it floods, they come in from the lake. And I was like, it was where like I started with a little tent and an electric pole, and then I transitioned into a cubby house, and then I transitioned into a one of those houses that are used in secondhand and can be moved onto a land. Ooh, shit. Anyway, that's always sounded like a car crash. As I was saying, I was living in this place with a lot of crocodiles, and I'd bought that house and land, and something smells like fire. Anyway, so I bought that one. That was a 15 grand or 20 grand land plus a 50 grand house eventually. But I was kicked off by the locals, there too. Where else have I bought? I bought a place in some country place, nowhere near civilization. I didn't drive at all. There's some country place. I don't know where it was. It's like along a long highway in the middle of nowhere. I bought this land. It was probably like 10 or 15 grand or something. And then I put a house in it, and it was like so cold there. I forget why I left. I think I left because maybe a flood destroyed the house or something. I forget, but there were cyclones there and everything. I think a cyclone destroyed the house. I don't know, but it was Yeah, it could have been something like that, something dumb. But I think I ended up selling that house. Yeah, no, I can't remember why. It's probably rising insurance or something. That's usually one reason why I let go of a lot of houses. It's in the middle of nowhere. I just bought the cheapest land, and I started like roughing it in this little cheap house. And I was like, I think I ended up selling it because possibly I don't remember why. I mean, there's floods, there are cyclones. I didn't drive at all, so everyone's like, hey, you can't live here if you can't drive. But yeah, no, it's an experience, I think. I just don't remember it so well because it's so long ago. And probably a brief lifestyle there. I bet it was too cold or something, actually. I can imagine it. Um, where else have I bought? These are just the places I bought, that not the places I rented. I think I bought a house up in Ravenhaven too. There's this place that my mum likes. It's like on this place where all the houses are the same. And I think I bought a property up a little bit further up the road from that place. But I think there are snakes there. Possibly, yeah. I think I bought it, or either that or I rented. But I just remember passing everywhere on a bike, and it's like I was having trouble with snakes and stuff because snakes lay on the road during the day. And I think I was having trouble with a neighbor with a gun or something that were sort of... Yeah, I can't remember, but I know I lived there near it for some reason. And yeah, no, I just can't remember it quite. So, anyway, but I think I did live up there for a little while. I think I maybe bought a small place somewhere or something. I don't remember. It was it could have been a rental actually. Not sure. I just have a feeling I bought a place up there. Where else did I buy?